on to the next topic of conversation. Let's talk about some color specialist things. I've been a color specialist since the start of my career, and I love talking to people about ways to improve their color skills or consultation skills or just hairstylist skills in general behind the chair. The topic I want to go over today is how do you navigate when your client leaves something up to you or says that they don't know. I don't know about you, but to me that is kind of frustrating. Like when I ask somebody a question and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't have to wear this hair. I don't know why you're asking me, which I know that why they're asking me, it's because they trust my opinion, but there's certain questions where I'm just like, girl, I can't answer that for you. And so how do you navigate those situations? The first thing to do is to ask all the questions. Make sure you're asking every single question. We can start with an example of what if you're asking a guest if they want face framing, like those cute face framing layers, and they say, I don't know, what do you think? Or if they say, I'll leave it up to you. A lot of times they actually do know what they want. They're just having a hard time coming to the conclusion. So making sure that you're asking all the questions about their lifestyle. With that example specifically, you can ask them if they ever wear their hair up. If they say yes, pull their hair back and say, do you like when pieces fall in your face? Maybe they'll say no, and then you know that you're not going to do face framing that day. Maybe they say yes, and then you could move on to how short do you want them to fall? And you pull their hair back, and you're like, do you want them to fall here? So you ask them how short they want them to fall. Usually the question will be answered for you if you dig a little bit deeper. So navigating situations where you might feel uncomfortable having the decision be left up to you, it's really all about just asking more questions. Another thing that I run into a lot, I gave a hair cutting example and I literally just talked about how I'm a colorist like a color specialist. But a color example is you might ask them about tone or placement. And that one can get a little bit trickier if they're like, leave it up to you. So with tone specifically, it's really important to make sure that you know skin tone and color theory. Whenever you're asking your client what kind of tone they want in their hair and they say they don't know, they want to leave it up to you, the next thing that I will usually go into is analyzing their skin tone. I'll ask to see the veins in their wrist. Veins will tell you the undertones of the skin. I look at their cheeks. If they're wearing foundation, I don't really pay attention to that. But if they're not wearing foundation, I look at their cheeks, see what color their cheeks are. My cheeks are very rosy, so I'm very warm undertone. My veins also show that I'm a warm undertone. Also look at their lip color and their eye color, and then from there I'm able to assess what tone would complement them best. Another way you can navigate that, if you don't feel super comfortable analyzing their skin tone in that way, is to ask them questions about what they like on themselves. And what I mean by that is you ask them, okay, I have a red shirt and a blue shirt. Which one do you like better? Or you can do pink, you can do whatever colors you want. As long as they're opposing colors on the color wheel, you ask them which one they prefer, and then you go from there. Let's say my guest says red. Oh, I usually like to wear red shirts more. Okay, now you have two red shirts. Are we going for the pinky red or are we going for the orangey red? Which one do you prefer to wear? Whichever answer they choose will help you understand what kind of colors they like to see on themselves. Another thing that I will ask along with the shirt analogy is like lipstick colors. Whenever you're wearing a dark lipstick, do you like a more red undertone or do you like a more plum maroon undertone? Plum and maroon is cooler, red is warmer, and so that kind of gets you in the realm. Okay, they say red, so they like warm. Do you like an orangey undertone or a pink undertone? It's kind of the same thing, but just asking what they like on themselves will really help you to discover how they view themselves and what they feel most confident in and what they feel most comfortable in, because it is true that certain colors can wash certain people out. And in order to avoid that, you have to know what they don't like on themselves. So those are two ways to navigate whenever someone leaves something up to you, because I know that can be a pretty uncomfortable situation, especially if you're a new stylist, seasoned stylist. Those situations can be uncomfortable if you don't have the right tools in your tool belt to navigate those situations. So whenever I am going into a consultation, especially if someone seems unsure, but mostly also in general, I kind of have a checklist in my brain. First of all, what's the goal? Let's talk about what they're wanting. And usually from that, you can also ask specific questions about the vibe. Kind of like, I like to say key words. If someone shows me a blonde, and maybe it's a lived-in blonde, I will use words like soft and gentle or subtle. And maybe they will disagree with that and they will say, oh no, I think I like how bright it is. And then you know that they're looking for something a little bit more bold. So using those feeling keywords can really help you get the vibe along with the inspiration photos, because inspiration photos really only tell a small piece of the puzzle. If you are able to further dive into what brought them to choose that inspiration photo, you're more likely to achieve a result that they're more happy with. The second tier of my checklist is to, hair history, kind of assess where we're at today in order to establish reasonable expectations. Sometimes people come in and you can do exactly what they want in that session. That's amazing. But sometimes you have to manage expectations, maybe because of previous color, maybe because of some damage that they have going on. Whatever the cards may have in store for you, you have to assess what they want versus what they have now, and maybe what that will bring you to for this session. So making sure to ask the right questions about their hair history. Depending on how long their hair is, that will tell you how far back you need to go into assessing their hair history. Because hair grows about 6 inches a year, it grows about a half an inch a month, so that's 6 inches a year. So if they have 12 inches of hair, you need to ask about their hair history for the last 2 years. Even understanding that color depositing masks can cause some color variation, toners, even just you have to understand what their hair history truly is in order to manage those expectations. And then my third tier, after we talk about, goals, expectations, the third tier is to customize it. And this is where you bring in those lifestyle questions. This is where you're asking them, do you braid your hair? Do you wear your hair up? Do you wear your hair down? Do you style your hair? How often do you wash your hair? And all of these things that will all play a part into the look that you will create for your guest today. So if you have these 3 checklists in order for your consultation, as well as just really deep diving into the guest and understanding what they want and what they're perceiving about the inspiration that they're bringing in, that is going to give you more success with your consultations and can really help eliminate some of that gray area when a client might be saying that they want to leave something up to you. Because like I said before, when a client says they don't know and they want to leave something up to you, most likely they do know. Sometimes there are situations where they really don't care, or they really do want you to kind of tell them what to do. And those situations are separate from someone just maybe not knowing what to say, or maybe not really being able to fully uncover what they want in their look. Diving into that can really help you have a better understanding and avoid some of those gray areas that might make you uncomfortable and might leave a little bit of variation from like your vision versus the client's vision. If you have a good consultation and if you're able to talk to your client and communicate with them well, you establish something that is very important that I will be talking about more on this page, but it's something called trust and authority. The authority part of that statement might be a little daunting, but I promise it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But if you have a good consultation, you're able to establish trust and authority, which means that your client trusts what you have to say and trusts what you're doing. You're also establishing authority within your field. So they aren't going to be sitting there like picking what you do, analyzing what you do, and they're just going to feel more confident. It can also help you feel more confident. Even if you're not confident, if you speak like you're confident, eventually you're going to trick yourself into thinking that you're confident. Now, speaking about trust and authority moves us into our final point of conversation today, which is marketing and social media. Another thing that I really like to talk about and like to do. Why is it important to be consistent on social media? Like maybe you've had a couple month stints of like posting a lot and maybe you got a few more likes than normal, but maybe you didn't notice a change in your books. Maybe you didn't really feel like you saw very much growth. So that might be a little bit discouraging. I'm here to tell you that consistency is the key, bro. Consistency is the motherfucking key. It is the way that you're going to grow, the way you're going to thrive. So why is it important? You might be asking. First of all, the algorithm, duh. Everybody knows that the more you post, the more Instagram will show you. So that's kind of a given. And it's true. The more you post, the more Instagram shows you. You'll be at the top of the feed. I've popped up on Explore pages before. I've had people message me because they're like, oh, you were on my Explore page, and then I found you as a hairstylist. And I'm like, incredible work, Instagram. We love that. So it is true that the more you post, the more Instagram will show you. The second point is what I literally just mentioned, which is trust and authority. Let's dive into that really quick. Trust and authority is so important. If you think about brands like Coca-Cola, I don't drink soda, so I don't really know why I'm using this analogy, but we're going to roll with it. Coca-Cola, I think I'm thinking about this because it's kind of a psychology analysis that people use very often. So Coca-Cola puts out so many ads, and they probably, like, you might think on the surface that they don't need it, because Coca-Cola has kind of become a staple in our society as like the go-to soda. There's even some regions of the country that call all soda Coke. You might not think that Coca-Cola needs the marketing, but there's a reason why they do so much marketing: to establish trust and authority. Because when you, maybe, I haven't, I don't really drink soda, but when I do, I get root beer. So that's just me. But we'll just kind of take the analogy for what it is. Whenever you're out and you're getting lunch, maybe you're just on running some errands and you want a little beverage, maybe what comes to mind first, if you're thinking of a soda, is Coca-Cola. Why? Because they have ingrained themselves in our society and in our psyches. And that is what we think of when we think of soda, when we think of beverages. We think of those cute little polar bears and all those little things that their branding has just really ingrained into our society. That is one example of trust and authority. We trust that they are a product that will come through. We know how it's going to taste. We know what the vibe is. And they have authority because they have established themselves as a consistent staple in the soda industry. We can do the same thing with our business, our hair Instagrams and what have you. By consistently showing up with consistent branding, with a consistent message, and we share our plethora of very important knowledge with the world, we are able to ingrain ourselves into someone's mind. So when they think about hair things, guess what? They're going to think of you. They're going to be looking in the mirror one day and be like, oh my God, I have so many split ends. I need to book an appointment. And because they keep seeing you over and over again in their feed, they're going to hit you up. I'm so serious. That has literally happened to me before, where someone messaged me. They're like, girl, I was brushing my hair last night. I have so many split ends. Can I book a haircut with you? First time client. They were just following me on Instagram for a few months. Then one day when they thought about their split ends, they thought of me. And that is what I mean by trust and authority. And that is why it's so important to show up on Instagram, share your voice, share your knowledge, and establish yourself as someone who knows what they're talking about and who you can trust. Another thing is, with products and tips with the hair, by showing up again with knowing what you're talking about, sharing your knowledge, people will come to you for product recommendations, for hair tips, and that can, improve your engagement. That can also, if you sell products through links or however you do your product sales, it can also help you get more product sales. So just in general, it's getting dark and my phone made me delete a bunch of things to finish this video. So I'm going to try and finish this up as fast as I can because I don't want it to be dark, and my lights, they're not going to cut it. I already know. I have beautiful windows in my room, but it doesn't help when it's dark. Establishing trust and authority is just really, really important. And the only way to establish trust and authority is to be consistent on social media, to plant that seed, to water it, to watch it grow, watch it thrive, which will build your clientele, your community, your reach, all of that good stuff. I talk about all of these things in my social media workbook that I just launched at the beginning of this year. Last year, I really worked hard on developing a social media class, which I taught to my salon, and I'm teaching another class this month. I'm starting a mentorship within my salon. I'm just doing so many things with my social media marketing because marketing is something that I'm actually super passionate about. So I'm really glad that I get to really flex those muscles and share my skills with the world now. So if you are interested in leveling up your social media game and going beyond the trends and avoiding burnout, I highly recommend you check out my workbook. I developed this class specifically so that people can learn how to lay the foundation for their social media platform. If you don't have that foundation of community and a brand and a voice, why should anybody stick around? The system that I have developed, it's my class and my system is literally called How to Make Social Media Flow and Work for You. And that's the whole point, is you want things to be streamlined. You want things to be easy. So if you're interested in creating a foundation and making your life so much easier when it comes to social media and maybe learning a few things about marketing and social media tools, highly recommend checking out my class. I have so many plans in the future for all of this stuff. I am hosting classes in person. If you're in the local Albuquerque area, please keep an eye out for classes if you want to attend. It doesn't have to just be for hairstylists. It can be for any creatives who are trying to level up their social media game. But I'm also hoping to host some online mentorships as well, which hopefully that will come this summer. I just really love working with marketing and doing social media things. So it's really cool that I get to actually like have some trust and authority in that realm. I don't really know how to conclude this video aside from saying thank you so much for sticking around if you've stuck with me thus far. I can't wait for all the creative endeavors that I have going on and all the projects that I have this year. This is going to be a great year, and I look forward to taking you guys along the journey with me, I guess. All right, I'll see you next time.